I wanted to talk about this topic for a while now, and I think it's one of the main discussions in the Arc Raiders community, especially after the recent update and patches that Embark released. Is Arc Raiders a PvP game, and will it ever truly be a PvP game? My answer is no, and in this video we're going to discuss why that is. Drop a like and enjoy the gameplay. By the way, this is the first video I'm making without a facecam, so this time I'll be focusing more on the commentary. It has been exactly 125 days since Arc Raiders was released at the time I'm posting this video, and most of us would agree that the game truly brought something innovative to the gaming community and became a big refreshment for multiplayer gaming. What definitely isn't new or innovative is the extraction shooter concept itself. Most of us know that the genre was largely popularized thanks to Tarkov, but Arc Raiders definitely took the popularity of extraction shooters to a whole different level. And many people who had never touched an extraction shooter before are now familiar with the genre. Besides its massive popularity and innovation, Arc Raiders also stands out for something else compared to other extraction shooters. A divided player base that's becoming more and more visible as time goes on, or the PvP versus PvE conflict, how I would like to call it. When the game first came out, we were all kind of on the same level. Everything was incredibly exciting, the arcs felt extremely dangerous, and everything was unknown. For me, that's the peak of any game. The feeling of stepping into something unknown creates excitement and a bit of fear, and that pushes you to play game even more. Just release that dopamine hits that you experience in the first gameplays. However, as time passed, more and more players mastered the mechanics of the game. The arcs became predictable, we figured out their weak points, which weapons have the strongest arc penetration power, and that feeling of the unknown and excitement that I mentioned slowly disappeared. As time went on, the people who invested the most time into the game rose to the top of the so-called skill pyramid. Streamers like Tfue, Cloaksy, Shinya the Ninja, and others became the clear rulers of the PvP aspect of this game, and as I said, it's completely logical that something like that would happen. I'm sure that most of us who have at least some experience with shooter or PvP games could eventually reach the PvP level that Tfue, Cloaksy, and other streamers I mentioned are at. Of course, they have talent that may give them an advantage in learning and mastering mechanics faster, but one thing is crucial for progress in any game, and that thing is time. Time plus practice will always bring some kind of improvement. People who stream professionally or simply have more time to play will naturally be better than most players. That's just the natural course of the things. What separates streamers, especially popular ones, from people who simply grind the game on their own is their influence on others. I'm sure a lot of people didn't even buy the game before they started watching Tfue play Arc Raiders. I'm just using him as an example since he's currently a big streamer in the Arc Raiders community. When you watch a streamer, especially someone who grinds the game and has an attractive playstyle, you unconsciously start copying them when you play the game that he is playing. In most cases that's a good thing and it helps improve your skill, but in Arc Raiders it really isn't, and I'll explain why. Every PvP game solves potential skill gaps by introducing skill-based matchmaking or a ranking system. We've seen this in almost every PvP game. I'll use CS2 as an example. Thanks to this system, there is almost no chance that players of completely different ranks will meet, which benefits both sides. But this applies to PvP games, and I'll repeat again, PvP games. Arc Raiders is, by definition, an extraction shooter and falls into a combined PvP/PvE category. The game is designed to show that when a player starts playing, they choose how they want to approach it, whether to focus more on looting or on the PvP aspect of the game. We can all agree that some balance between these two approaches is the best way to play Arc Raiders, but the balance I'm talking about never truly existed and never had the chance to properly develop. Now let's go back to the influence of streamers. Let's take an imaginary player named Steve. Steve loves watching Twitch streamers and loves playing games. When Arc Raiders came out, he spent most of his time watching someone like Tfue, who focused heavily on PvP. Steve decided to buy the game, and most of the knowledge he had about it was based on the streams he watched. Subconsciously, Steve started implementing that aggressive PvP playstyle without any real understanding of PvE aspect of the game. For a while, Steve enjoyed that PvP, but eventually he started losing huge amounts of loot. Or he started running into players who simply didn't want to fight and would stand frozen while Steve shot them and secured his 1000th knocked in Arc Raiders. Steve found his only satisfaction in PvP and killing other players. After some time, it became boring. He realized that focusing on PvP was too risky and consumed too many resources, too much energy, and just too many nerfs. And so our fellow Steve quit playing Arc Raiders. This imaginary player is an obvious example of how not to play Arc Raiders. You shouldn't fall into extremism by focusing only on PvP, nor should you focus only on looting and PvE. In both cases, the game will become monotonous and boring, and after some time you'll see it's a chore rather than the enjoyment it was at the beginning. I'm one of the examples who fell into that PvP trap thinking everything revolved around it, but it really doesn't. After a month of intense PvP, in my case, the game simply started to feel exhausting to me, whether because of resource loss or the massive frustration PvP brings. I just knew I had to take a break, distance myself, and completely redefine my view of Arc Raiders as an extraction shooter, not a pure PvP game. Most of us will probably never dedicate enough time to the PvP aspect the way someone like Tifu has. It's almost certain that a player who has spent 800 hours only on Stella Montes will win a duel against our 35-year-old dad who just came home tired from work half an hour ago and turned on his PS5 hoping to loot the map for his next expedition. What Arc Raiders brought is that many people who previously had little to no contact with gaming started playing because of it. Maybe it's because of Peanut, maybe because of the other things, but most of those players aren't playing to achieve 1000 knockouts against other players. That's why conflict formed between those who want PvP and those who want PvE. This conflict is clearly starting to affect the player base, which will only decline if Embark doesn't address the issue. The situation is tricky because you can't exclude either group. Based on the last updates, like the Hurricane update and the addition of new arcs, it seems like Embark has recently been paying more attention to players who prefer the PvE side. And for now, I think that makes sense. I hope that in the future we'll get some kind of PvP only or PvE only mode so everyone can find their balance and always have the option to choose how they want to play each raid. I still haven't lost hope in Arc Raiders, and I still believe the game has a lot of innovative things to offer. Right now we're in a crucial stage of the community's development, and in my opinion, all of this is somewhat normal and logical for every game. This is a topic that could be discussed for a long time, and I just wanted to cover some of the main aspects I've been thinking about. I hope you enjoyed, and I didn't want to make it too long so it wouldn't become boring overall, so yeah. If you have an opinion on this topic, drop it in the comments and don't hesitate to leave a like. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you for watching, and until next raid, stay safe.